What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Yes, You Guessed It. Let's take a walk. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I definitely did. And now we have made it to the most favoritist time of the week for me. I made up some words right there. I know you saw what I was doing there. Tonight, we have another amazing and interesting guest, as always, on the L Talk platform. She is a motivational speaker. She is a praise dancer. She is a entrepreneur. She is kind of a I don't even know what the word is. She's kind of a curator of a kind of a new trend, chair fitness. I cannot wait to hear talk about that. This is Miss Shunaic Jones. But I don't want to steal her thunder. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Jones and her movement, I'll give her a moment to kind of introduce herself and just give a little background of who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So, Miss Jones, with that being said, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say thank you, Mike, for inviting me on the show. I was so excited when you when you came in my inbox and was like, "Can you be on my show?" And I was like, "Yeah." But yeah, so I'm excited about that. And so my name is Shunaic Jones, better known as Nikki, but these days I'm calling myself Shunaic. I am a native of Hampton, Virginia, and as Mike said, I do a lot of things. A lot. So I'm a motivational speaker. I have my own daycare. I praise dance. I do fitness chair exercise. I'm a caretaker of my daughter. Evangelist, I got all that going on. It's a lot going on at one time. I'm a mother.
I know that's right. So if you had to start, as far as you're concerned, where does this story begin for you? Where does it start?
Well, my story begins from I would say as a little girl, I always felt like there was something special about me, but I just didn't know, exactly what it was. Like within me, I could do different things. I was really good at dancing and, getting in front of people and just being myself. And I really had a heart for caring for people. So I loved children at a very young age. A little multi-talented when it came down to just like physical things. But other than that, just growing up, I was in a foster family. So I had a lot of, we grew up around a lot of people, a lot of different things that I learned. I learned how to grow up pretty fast. I had to do things on my own. So from my past is really who I am today, so to speak. So they said the Bible says that the last shall be first and the first shall be last. I have a lot of in-between stories. I mean, I really would have to write a book to get it all out to where I am today. But because of where I am today is because of my never give up and my perseverance to not stop in the midst of trauma, tests, and trials and tribulations. I just kept going. Even when I fell, I kept going. Even when I was unsure, I kept going. Even when I was crying, I just kept going. Even when I was torn, I just kept going because I knew that it's something inside of me that was great. But however, when Christ came into my life, that's when I really learned who I was. And even in the midst of having Christ in my life, I was going through trauma. I was going through traumatic situations, abusive relationship, marriage, all those different things. But in the midst of it all, I still knew on the inside that there was something great. And I still held on to God. So in the midst of that, holding on, I was able to catapult to where I am today, along with people that the Lord used in every level, in every interchange, in every transition that I have experienced.
Okay. Excuse me. You said a mouthful right there. Okay. So as you said, you are very multifaceted. You do a lot of different things, and you've accomplished a lot in a relatively short time compared to, others. Let's start with ministry.
Okay.
Now, you serve in many capacities in ministry, prophetic word, prophetic dancer. Okay, so that's still a relatively new thing within, the church.
Yes.
Um, what made you? What prompted you to get into prophetic dance to start?
Well, as a child, I loved dancing. That was always my thing as a child. And as I said, I was in the foster care system. So we lived in a house. And so they didn't put me in dance classes. So I learned how to dance at home. And I went to a rec center around the corner, which was King Street Community Center, which is now the Boys and Girls Club off Share Road on the corner. Whoop, whoop. And I went to a dance class there. And I learned, just the ABCs of ballet. And so I just kept it. And from that one little class that I had. And so I always liked to dance, but when I got saved, it just became a part of me because I always just was a dancer. And
Mhm.
so I danced one time at a church and it just kind of bursted out. And everybody just kept asking me to come. But I didn't realize that I was a prophetic praise dancer until somebody really, told me I was. And I didn't understand it because when I'm within a group of dancers, it's very difficult for me to go along with them, but I can learn the moves. But it's very difficult for me to go along with them because I go along with what the spirit leads me to do as far as dancing, because I use dance as a form of worship in my personal life. So when I'm praying and I'm travailing, I'm either in the floor or either I'm up dancing. So it just introed me into dancing at pastors' anniversaries, funerals. Oh, now that was different. Funerals and anniversaries and things like that. Um, but it's just what I do. That's who I am.
Right.
Dance is my world. So that's really I've been doing that. My as my sister would say, I've been dancing since I was a baby.
So what I hear you saying, and just what from what I gather just from talking to you this short time, you kind of have your own, or as people say, you march to the beat of your own drummer, so to speak. Um, and it seems like that's kind of the script for your life. So like you're doing all these kind of unconventional things, like you're doing the praise dancing, but it's hard for you to stay within the confines of choreography and all that because you know you're moving with the spirit, as you said.
Yes.
You own a business that um started out unconventional in your home, during a pandemic.
Yes.
Unconventional. A lot
Yes.
of people were shutting businesses down, but here you are starting a business. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So being unconventional is you're kind of uh predictably unpredictable.
Yes. That's it.
So going forward, now you have solidified your place within ministry, and now you're a business. You become a business owner. You work with children, and you not only do you work with children, you bring them into your home. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
is interesting in and of itself. You know what I mean? So explain to me what prompted you to get into, the child care business or the child care, thing.
Well, everything's from the past. It's history, right?
Mhm.
So we learn from the past. So I had some trauma in my history, but I also had some great things in my history. From being in a foster care home, we had a house and we had children, and I was really the youngest of all the foster kids. But I had a niece that was the same age as me, and we always had kids. And my foster mom, she loved children and she nurtured them, and I wanted to be just like that.
Mhm.
I wanted to make children feel safe. I wanted them to feel safe like I did because I had a pretty good upbringing in my foster care till I was about 12 or 13. So that seed was planted. But I've always had a love for children. I have been doing this forever. I can say forever. But for where I'm at now, the pandemic came along and I was working in the school system as a IA, and they shut us down. And so we came home and I saw a need that needed to be met. And the
Mm,
first need was they were giving out the free school lunches for children, during the pandemic. So I said, oh, I got an idea. What I'll do is I'll go around to every school and get the free lunches, and I'll just pass the free lunches out to families who can't get to the school, because I never understood how they gave out free lunches. We weren't supposed to come out the house, and how would the food get to the children?
right.
I thought about the Latino trailer parks and things like that. Well, how would they get to the school to get the free meals? So what I did is I would get everything and I would get my daughters in a car and I would just go drop them off in the neighborhoods. And they were actually watching and waiting for me to come. That's how much I was doing it. But at that time I was working for the school system. So my boss had told me I could not do that because I was still getting paid and I was supposed to be at home
Mm,
on a Zoom. But I wasn't on a Zoom because I was a teacher and assistant. So I told her, okay, well, fine. Well, what I'm going to do is, since I can't do that because it's Hampton City Schools and I'm not contracted to do that, I said, I'm just going to go down to my church and do it. And she was like, no, you need to stay home and da, da, da. And I said, well, you know what? And I thought about it. And I thought about it. And I thought, and it just sprung up in my spirit. And I told her, I said, later on today, you'll be getting my letter. I'm resigning.
wow.
Just like that. Because I felt like it's a pandemic. There's a need to be met. You cannot tell me what God has called me to do. And
Wow.
so I quit. I was done. And then my niece, which she's a sophomore now in high school, she needed help. They were giving out those packets. That's it. In the mail with the kids. She needed help. So I opened up my house to her and I started helping her with her homework. Boom. My neighbor got a whiff of it. The word got out. Boom, 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 boom. I had 20 kids in my house for
Wow.
virtual school. So I had virtual kids and then I had daycare kids and I had my family's kids there too. So my house became a safe haven for all children during that time. And not one child had COVID, and neither have I.
Okay.
4 years since. So that catapulted me into what I'm doing now. So I just kept going. When man told me no, God told me keep going, and that's what I did. And so I'm still sustained. I'm still keeping kids safe. That's what I'm called to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And again, unconventional, out the box, peculiar,
Yeah.
then you're doing things that people generally don't, I'm not going to say don't care to do, but they don't always necessarily have the capacity to do what you're doing. And that's
Mhm.
amazing. Whether it be out of fear, insecurity, whatever the case, you did it, and that's amazing. Um, so now you're in this space. You've so like again solidified yourself within your ministry. You're in business. You have cultivate. You have kind of allowed the community to become your business, and you've built this business based off of your love and concern for your community.
Yes.
And then you go into health and fitness. Um,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Oh wow. Well, I had I never had health problems like really growing up or whatever. I was not that big, but was going through a traumatizing marriage. So I gained some weight. I have a daughter with a special needs, so she had some different things that she was facing. And during that time, I was just eating fast food, doing this, doing that, caring about everybody else except for me. And so I gained weight. I think I got up to 298 or so. And I ended up being shut down. Had this big anxiety attack like on my birthday when I was 41. And I couldn't walk, couldn't do all these other different things. I was bedridden. So just a long story made short, I had to fight myself up out of the bed. And then so once I did that, I knew that I needed better health. And I had physical therapy. And she said, well, I think you probably start off with some walking. So that's what I did. When I eventually got up out of, got up and wasn't dizzy and disoriented and nauseated, I was able to get up and I started walking. And I lost like maybe 30 pounds then. But then I joined KB's Fit Club. And that was a great start in my life and into the fitness world, was stepping my foot into there because I needed it. I needed the physical, I needed the mental, and I needed the group of positive women in order to, get to where I needed to go. And I'm still there. So I'm still a client. I'm still, and I love it. And so in the midst of that, I had came across a class that it's called Chair One Fitness. And so I went to that class, and I went with one of my girlfriends. Her name is Sarita Peaches. Hey, she up here somewhere. And so I went to the class with her, and then I grew a love for Chair One. And her and I together with another friend, we went ahead, Paula, hey, I think she up here somewhere. We went and we got our license for Chair One. And so when we were being asked, and what type of form would we be using the chair exercises, I quickly said, probably children, and then I would add the gospel to it because it has different genres of music. And I felt like I was called to put the gospel on it, on the different regiments they had or whatever like that. So that's how I became a Chair One fitness instructor. I did that, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. But when the Lord mandated me to put gospel on it, I had people go against me. They were like, "Oh, you need to add hip hop, you need to do this, and you need to do that." And I was, no, I'm just sticking to the gospel, and that's what I've done. And so it has opened doors for me to be able to be at churches. I go to church forums. I have contracts with churches to where I just come and I do monthly exercises with them. And I have seen the hand of God move upon elderly women and some young women. But at this one church, I have mostly elderly women where they couldn't even lift their arms above their heads. Wow. And now they can lift their arms above their heads. They can squat because I've added like some standing up and some sitting down. But I have seen all of them miraculously change. So, and that's through the physical part. But when you add Holy Ghost, what can you do? Because our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And if we don't take care of our bodies,
right.
What? And and my mandate and to go back a little bit about the chair exercise with the Chair One, it's really generally for, elderly, people who've had injuries, people who are pregnant, obese, but it's really for everyone. So my class is for everyone. But what I want to say is that, because it's just coming to me like this. When you have fitness in your life, and when you are living that healthy lifestyle, you have to apply God to it if you're a godly fearing person, because we have things to do in this earth. We're supposed to go to and fro through this earth and speak and teach. We're the salt of the earth. We cannot do any of this if we have ailments in our body, if we are sick, if we are not living a healthy body. Even the older people, I always tell my older clients, my oldest client is 80. She still has things to do in the earth because God is not done with her yet. Right. So that's my mandate when it comes to that. If you can only exercise in a chair, come on, let's get it. And my heart is for the chair because I couldn't get up one day. I was dizzy. I was disoriented. I couldn't move. I know how that feels. So once I saw that, I said, I can help encourage people that they can still move their bodies.
Right.
Right. So that's how I got into it, and I love it.
Right. I think that all of it is attached to purpose. I was on Instagram or TikTok one day, and I saw Deion Sanders was talking about his team. Well, he was talking about sports in general, just being great. That's what he was talking about, being great. And he was saying that he talks to his kids all the time, and he says, when you go to practice, he said, why do you practice? Why do you go to practice? He said that, you know, a lot of these kids, they go to practice they only practice to be able to get through practice. But he said that in order to be great, you have to practice with purpose.
Right.
So when you go to practice, when you running those laps, or when you're doing, you know, the chair fitness or whatever, even in that, it's not just to get fit, physically fit, but there should be a purpose attached to it, because if you're just doing it for the physical aspect, then, you know, as you kind of alluded to earlier, you're missing the point. You're being fit for a purpose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you're bedridden, if you can't walk, if your blood pressure's through the roof, then you're very limited in what you can, you know, what you can do in your community. So when you said that, it kind of sparked that in my mind. It just reminded me of, you know, purpose, because that's and personally, you know, that's kind of been the thing that has been most prevalent on my mind lately too. Finding purpose. What is my purpose? What do I do? Why do I do what I do when I do what I do? And who am I doing it for? Because I truly believe that each one of us has a remnant of people that are attached to us, and they are almost waiting. Even people that you aren't even aware of, that you might not even have met yet. You know, God is saw fit to attach you to them. So they're in essence waiting on you to make certain decisions, because it's going to lead you to them, or them to you. Yes. Or they may not, you may never meet them. Somebody that you influence may have a conversation with them about you, and it will inspire them to do whatever they need to do. So when you think about it, purpose is so that's what makes purpose so important.
Yes.
You know, and then too, you know, I say all the time, and I feel like God told me, there is power in pain. And when you know, a lot, you know, being Christian and whatever, we like to dwell on the things that we overcome, and we dwell on the things that are good and the blessings and that sort of thing. And we should. However, God was saying that there is purpose in pain. You have to be, in other words, you have to be a good steward of the pain and the trials that you go through, the same way that you're a good steward of the testimonies that you have. You know what I'm saying? Because your pain, the thing that we can all relate to. If we can't relate to anything else, we all can relate to pain. We've all dealt with varying levels of pain. And that's how I can relate to you. Hey, you went through that? Yeah, I went through that too. So if we're not, but a lot of times we like to keep the pain close to the vest and just share, hey, I lost 100 pounds. Hey, I got blessed to pay my rent. Yeah, I got groceries, you know, but God is saying you got to share that pain too, because the pain is just as powerful as the pleasure or the blessings that you get. So I say all that to say, when I hear you, you know, talking, you know, about, you know, you gained weight and you dealt with mental and physical issues, those things were purposeful. You know what I'm saying? And what people tend to do is they don't tend to see it that way. You know what I'm saying? They dwell more on what could have happened than what actually did happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, but you know, it's powerful.
Right. For me, to piggyback, you know, when you were talking about there's pain in your purpose, you know, Jesus went through the same thing.
Facts.
You know, was he not in pain?
Absolutely.
You know, whipped in chains and, you know, going on his head. So it was a purpose for that, so that you and I and everybody else out here, you know, we could be set free and delivered and have everlasting life for his purpose. So we're going to go through that. You know what I mean? And I just kind of always look to that, you know, Jesus went through it, other apostles went through it, and the pain, the turmoil, the rejection, all of that. But in the midst of it, they still held strong and did what they were supposed to do in the earth. And so I live a very transparent life. And I believe that it's a gift from God, because I told you earlier in the inbox, I'm very transparent. So just don't never know what you're going to get. But for me, my life has always been the glass, you know, because when you are a individual and you're, you know, not raised by your parents, you are in the foster care system, the light is on you. It is what it is. Your life is not private. The state knows you. I could go now through the file. My name's still up in there with my whole story. They don't expunge that. It's still there. I can go find it. Right. You know, so my life has always been an open book. So, you know, I've had people say, oh, you shouldn't tell that, or, you know, that's not purposeful. Yeah, I'm going to tell it and I'm going to let it out. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it is for somebody. You know, just that hug, just to let them know you're listening. You know, the rejection, the emptiness. I work off, and I have so much energy, it's ridiculous. But I believe that it's, you know, a supernatural gift from God for the things that he has me to do. But I just keep going because I know that I'm going to win and that I'm winning. And I'm winning for someone else. You know, everything that I do, it's really not for me. You know, my friends would say, you need to live for yourself. You need to do this. You need to do that. And that's why for so many years I was like this, because I was so busy doing for others and forgetting about myself. But now it's the time for me to get down to business. You see what I'm saying? To do what God has called me to do in the earth for others. So now it's time for me to spare not my voice and just let it out. So there is a purpose in the pain. It really is.
So I'm looking. So we've been talking about ministry. We've talked about, you know, the community activism. We've talked about the fitness. And so if I tie it all up in a bow in this question, like from what I've been hearing from you, for the most part, you've had to be kind of an army of one, you know, in the foster system, you know, really no blood support system. You've kind of moved from one extreme to the other, covered, you made it through without any visible, you know, any visible dents or scratches. But now you're here, and to say the least, you've probably had to be very, very independent, you know, throughout your life. You had to learn to be very independent. Mm-hmm. Now, has that been a hindrance to you? And when it comes to relationships and collaborating with others, has that independence been something that you've had to contend with within yourself when it comes to just being your, like I said, collaborating with others on different things, like you were saying about the praise dancing situation, where you don't, you know, it's hard for you to stay within the choreography and different things like that, or even in, you know, even in relationships, not even just romantic relationships. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about people that you've met or whatever. Has that been something that you've had to contend with within yourself, you know, being able to open up and let people in?
Well, I'm pretty transparent, so I don't hold myself. I don't have walls, pretty much. Now, that's one thing I'm learning I don't know if I like that or not, to put up some walls and some blocking. I don't know, because I'm always kind of open. So I'm a friend. Look, I would just say I'm everybody friend. And people say, oh, you can't be everybody friend. But I'm very open, and and I have great friends, and I had a great foster family growing up. So I did
Mhm.
have their support. But I did a lot of things independently, majority rule. But as far as friendships and things like that, it's pretty easy for me to kind of tap in if I'm collaborating with another dancer, like one on one. Or like I have another friend, she's so awesome. She has a wonderful childcare, in-home childcare. I have a lot. And we kind of shuffle our kids around, like, can you take it this one? So I'm pretty good in that area right there. But what happens is that with certain things, um uh friendships have come and friendships have gone. Like right now I'm in this movement of everything changing. So I'm getting new friends, and that's different. But I'm not into that trend of no new friends, because I don't believe in that. I believe that whoever God has for your season, you know what I mean, is there. But as far as the there are some hindrances, because I can be very open and I can be taken advantage of. And then at some point, and then also, um how can I say this? I don't know how to say it, but at some points, jealousy may come up. I'm not a jealous person, but some jealous things may come up, um, and things like that. But I just keep going. But I'm just pretty much, I will include people. I don't have a problem including people. But what happens is that the Lord will always gives me an unction of who's there, who's to be there, and who's not. So that's what something new in my life now, where I'm learning to say, no, I don't think this one fits really right for me. I'm not accepting everything. But it took me a long time to get there, because I want everybody to win. I am that type of person. Though I end up like, and I end up in leadership. So what happens is that when I end up in leadership, I want everybody to win with me. And then you have some people who don't want to win, so I can become pushy. But I do in leadership, I really would like everybody to win, so to speak. Now, some of them may not want me to win, but I even want you to be a winner.
Right.
So that's just who I am. I celebrate victories, everybody's victory.
Right. And that's a good point that you brought up too. Um, Sometimes because you're so driven, you're so focused, and you genuinely want people to be the best version of themselves. However, there are those who are more content with either allowing, they're more content either allowing you to help them, or they're more content allowing you to feel sorry for them. So it's almost like they're happy to let you drag them over the finish line, to make a better analogy. They're happy to let you drag them over the finish line, or they'll sit at the finish line and be content with, they want you to sit with them at the finish line and cry with, instead of going across the finish line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so is that something that you have to continue contend with? Because I can imagine that there are some situations where you end up wanting it more than the person does.
Yes. And
And so
that's
how do
what,
you contend with that?
well, the strike, well, really, that's true. So what happens for me with that is that the people that I literally, because I see Crystal up there, hey twin, drag across the finish line. I am that friend. I'm pulling you. But if you're there, then I've learned to sit there sometime and just wait, for their change to come, if they want it. But then there are times when I just have to keep going. And then I'll have to just put them in my prayer box and keep it moving. Because what happens is, if you stay in a place where with someone else who really just wants to sit there, then you're going to become drained. So I had to learn how to shake the dust off my feet and keep it moving if I'm not received.
Mm-hmm.
Or and then on the other hand too is that just if I'm going to keep feeding and feeding and feeding this thing, and then what happens for me and I'm starving and I'm not feeling myself. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that has happened with me in relationships, like with males. So that's a thing that you want. You want you're with this individual, and they say they want it, and they have this drive, and then they'll stop, and then it's like you're constantly pounding them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you have to move on. Not that you don't love or care. You just, I just pray and I just keep it moving. That's something that I'm still working on, and I'm still learning to just let people be who they, let people be people where they are. And I continue to pray and encourage, but I'm moving on to where God have called me to be, to what the people who they want to be dragged and encouraged so that they can get in field and move on. And it's not that I left them behind. It's just that my season's up.
Right. Have you kind of like reconciled or navigated your feelings when it comes to the people that you can't help, that you ultimately couldn't help?
Um,
Sometimes, there, like I said, there are people who, for whatever reason, they don't want to get better, or they don't want to move forward. They don't
yeah,
want to see breakthrough. But you have invested so much time, energy, spirit, love, that type of
mhm.
thing, that even after you've severed ties with them, you haven't severed ties with them because you're still carrying. Well, you may not be carrying what they were going through, but you're carrying the guilt or the heaviness of not being able to be what they needed in that time. Have you have
Mhm.
you have you have you learned? Have you feel like you learned how to reconcile, the people that your feelings within yourself when it comes to the people that you can't get through to?
Yeah, I really don't feel a guilt. Um, I used to, but I never think about it. I know that sounds strange, but I just kind of, if I clip, I'm one, two, three, and I'll just move on. And I don't feel any guilt because I just feel like that was my time. That was allotted. I planted the seed. Somebody gonna come and water, and it'll sprout up. So I really
Mhm.
don't carry any guilt. I think the only guilt that I ever uh, really carried was I have two daughters. So my oldest daughter is 24 and my youngest daughter is 21. And my daughter is 24. She has autism and some other things. But the only guilt, if I carried anything for not being able to help someone, was my 24-year-old daughter
Mhm.
when I was within my marriage. And it was certain things that I couldn't do, or I put it this way, it was fear over me that I could not do as far as her growing up and getting her the help that she needed. So she didn't get the help that she needed until she was an adult. I think that was the only thing that I ever guilted in
Mhm.
trying to help someone. And that was my daughter. But I'm good now. I don't feel guilty about it anymore because I know that there's a place now where things have changed. But I did carry that guilt to, like, oh, what did I do when I was carrying her? Did I fuss too much? Was I stressed out too much? Did I do this? Did I do that? What could I have done? I think that's the only guilt that I've really ever have felt, honestly. And then the guilt of not forgiving my biological mother for not raising
Mm.
my sister and I. Um,
Mm.
but the only guilt of that is that I could not tell her that I did not understand addiction, and that addiction will cause you to forget and not live your life in fullness. But I did not understand that. So when she um, passed on off this earth, I wasn't able to, when my heart got right with God, um, I wasn't able to say to her, I'm sorry.
Right.
I forgive you. I wasn't able to say that to her. Two
Right.
things that that's it. Is that, And then, of my daughter, and and I don't feel that guilt anymore towards my, my biological mother, because the Lord healed me from that pain and that hurt. But I'm just recently getting over the feelings of my daughter and her diagnoses. But I'm working on that because I'm an advocate for adults with autism, that they're the forgotten. And then when you are diagnosed and you don't have a paper trail, what can you do? So now that's what I'm yelling out. They need help, you know, because I'm experiencing that with my daughter. So sometimes that little guilt comes in. I'm like, had I done this, you wouldn't be where you are. But then I look at it and I'm like, no, everything is for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So even going forward in that, quote unquote, being there for people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found that is there when it comes to being, quote unquote, being there for people, when it comes to you, does it vary? You know what I mean? Like I was in a group prayer with my family a couple of weekends ago, and my uncle was saying how, we should pray for this person, we should pray for that person, the sick and the shut in. You don't forget to pray for them. Don't forget, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, I felt the need to say, prayer is powerful. Absolutely, you should always pray for people, for power, for direction,
Mm-hmm.
all that. However, do not use prayer as an excuse not to be there for people. Don't use prayer as an excuse not to show up. If I know that you haven't eaten in a week,
Mm-hmm.
why am I sitting in my house praying when I know that I could go and get you a sandwich or some
Mm-hmm.
groceries or something? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Or do something. Now, with you, you're constantly pouring out, right?
Yes, sir.
And have you discovered a sort of template for how you show up for people? In your experience, can you show up for everybody the same way? You know what I'm saying? Have you figured out how to navigate that, if that
Well,
makes sense?
yeah. Yeah, I think I'm Supergirl, but I show up for the people that I'm called to. That's what I do now. At one
Mm-hmm.
time, I would show up for everybody
Right.
because of, once again, going back to the past of things that you do, because of rejection and because of acceptance. I would try to show up for everybody. I need a lot of me. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to be here, there, everywhere. I'm trying to show up. I'm trying to support, because those are the things that I wanted. Those are the things that I desired. Those are the things that I wanted people to do for me. So when I see and I have people that I love and care about, I'm going to show up. Now, the thing about it now is that I'll show up. I'll sow a seed into your life. I'll show up. You need prayer. Okay, I'm gonna call you on the phone. I'm gonna pray for you. Okay, you need this shirt. I'm gonna take it off. Okay, I got my own in the car. I'm gonna try to fulfill, someone's need, but I can't be there for, someone all the time.
Right.
But through prayer, I can. But if I know that there's a need that can be met, that and I have the resource, I'm gonna do my best to give it. And if I don't, I have other friends who do.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I have other people that I'm in the link with. We get together. Okay, such and such need prayer. Can we do this? Okay, such and such needs this. The women and men that are in my circle, I'm able to call them and say, such and such need prayer. You think you can do that? You think you can do this? I don't have to do everything. I have resources.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I, I'm I was listening to somebody speak the other day, and they were like, yeah, because sometimes church, right? Sometimes we say things out of religiousness and whatever. And somebody said, if there's somebody that you know that needs help, you should help them because you're a child of God. Now, on its face, that sounds righteous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it? You know what I'm saying? Especially in your position where you're saying that God, you consider God and you pray to God and you ask God, hey, who, where to go, what to do, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt an unction not to help a person? Yeah, have you ever seen where God said, no, don't, don't go there, or don't
Mm-hmm.
assist in
Yeah.
that? Because sometimes at church we're encouraged to help people
Right.
just for the simple fact that they need help, and we just happen to be children of God.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
that's not always necessarily the case. And so, like I said, I say all that to ask, like, is that something that you've ever had to contend with, where you felt the Holy Spirit say, no, don't help that person? And how did you navigate that?
Well, I just say no. You
do
know,
you ever feel yourself like questioning God, like, why? Like, you see this person is in a bad
no,
way. Like, why can't I?
no,
You know what I mean?
because I'm always helpful. So I'm always helping, and he's always telling me to help. So when he tells me not to, I don't question. Now I feel
Mm,
funny about it. I'm like, okay, but I don't. But I won't do it.
mm,
You know,
okay.
I'm working. I'm really good at that now. I'm really good at saying no. At one time, I was just so yes, 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 and working out of disobedience. You know, and I'm just so tired of working out of disobedience.
Fact.
Just
Fact.
do what the Lord tell you to do. You know, no, I would just say no. Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question. Here's a great question for you. Um, who pours into you? I mean, you're pouring out. You're constantly giving out. I guess it's kind of a two-pronged question. Who pours into you? Slash, right in this moment, who would you say is your greatest influence?
Well, right now, because I'm spiritual, I would say the Lord. He's my greatest influencer. But right now, if I had to really sit back and really think about that, I would say it's my sister, Lakeisha. And the reason why I say that is because her and I, we have the same mom, and we were raised together in the foster care. So I've seen my sister fight and work the wheel her whole entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And she has poured out. And I'm glad you asked me that, because like nobody has asked me that. And so when I'm really thinking about it, I have to say my sister, because she never gives up on anything. And she's at a place in her life now where she's applying pressure as far as the word of God and things like that, and calling me and, asking for advice and different things like that. So through her whole life, she went through everything and still is on the top, so to speak, not walking it religiously like I have,
Mm-hmm.
and has not faltered. So she really is my greatest influencer. She probably gonna bust out crying now. Hey girl. But really, she really is my sister. We didn't growing up, we had a vigorous boy, it was something else.
Right.
We really didn't get along because of the trauma and all those different things, but we just learned how to mesh together and come together. And I could say she is my greatest influencer because she don't give up on anything, regardless. So yes. There she goes. She got the little tears up. Hey.
That's amazing. And you know, when you're in the type of position that you're in, where, like I said, you're constantly serving, you're
Mhm.
serving, you're serving, you're giving, you're giving. Sometimes people forget, or like I said earlier, they get used to being helped,
Mhm.
but they don't necessarily consider or take into account the
Yeah.
process that happens prior to them, being helped. To the
Mhm.
point that sometimes they stop even saying thank you. They just,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Here comes Shunaic again. You know,
Mhm.
whatever they can become. Kind of take you for granted.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, is that something that you contend with? Being bitter at times when when you feel that people take you for granted.
Yes, it's very hurtful. It's very hurtful. Um, because what I do, I just do it from the bottom of my heart,
Hmm.
and when I can tell when I'm being used, or and what happens is that I don't look for things to come back to me,
Hmm.
so to speak, because I'm a seed sower. I don't look for things to come back to me for others to do for me. But when I do so much, sometimes I'm just like, what about me?
Hmm.
So it's really, I don't get bitter. It's more so like, for real, that's how we doing. Oh, you know what I'm saying? After everything that I've done, you know what I mean? Everything that I've poured out. Okay, so when my time comes, here comes that. It's a, oh, you know, I didn't know you needed that, or all that. What? You don't know? I'm a human, So it's kind of like that kind of thing. Like when I'm giving, 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 and then when my time comes, it's just like, oh, she'll be all right.
Right.
That's
Right.
how. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and this might sound like an unusual question, but have you stopped dreaming? And what I mean by that is, kind of to your point about people not realizing that you're a person with wants, aspirations, desires, goals, that type of thing. You have done so much for your community. You have poured out so much to your tribe and whomever has been fortunate enough to cross your path.
Have I
It's
stopped
easy.
dreaming?
It's
Go ahead.
easy to to not think about, because you're so used to not thinking about yourself. Have you stopped dreaming? And what I mean by dreaming is, like my pastor asked me one time, if I gave you $1 million, what would you do with it?
Yeah,
Do you still dream?
I
Do you
do.
still have dreams?
Hmm. I do. I still do dream, and right now I feel like I'm living in my dream, but I feel like there are walls up of me trying to live in it properly,
Hmm.
because I'm kind of a hustler, if you could
Now,
say.
when I say this, I'm saying absent of anybody else. I'm talking selfishly.
Hmm.
Do you still dream? Do you still want things, desire things, and not
Yes.
necessarily material things, but just things that Shanik would that will make Shanik happy in any at
Yes.
any given point.
Yes. I still do dream.
Okay.
Yes, and I really do. I still believe in my best friend Trishita, she's up here, and I always say I'm a superstar. This is my stance. If you see me in pictures on Facebook, you'll see that that's me and her little joke. But But so yes, I still do dream. That means this when I do that I'm dreaming big. That is it. I'm walking in it, and I'm gonna, I dream that one day, and I'm just to say this out because it's not on my, but I just want to live a good, healthy life, and travel and be able to minister to people freely, and make people happy. And even for myself, I would love for somebody to love me for me in everything that I do. So yes, I still do dream.
Okay. I just got a couple more questions for you because we get, I try to be respectful of your time and everything. What do you say to people who look at Shunaic and say, who do you think you are? Who made you the type of, who says that you can tell me or help me live better? What about you makes you so righteous that you think that you can help my life be better? What do you say to those people?
People who, well, what would I say to that? Let me see. How would I don't fear anything pretty much. So I'm just, it because I'm called to it. If I'm going to have to keep coming back to the word of God because I walk in the righteousness of God. So what makes me this way is the authority that Christ has given me through his blood, that I have, the mandate and the right to be able to help others, live a better life through Christ. I'm mandated that in authority, so if they have a problem with it, they need to go to the master, so pretty much that's how I carry it. I'm humble, but then on another end, I could be cocky with it, but I just feel like for people like that, if they don't want, if they feel that way about me, then they could just remove themselves because I'm gonna always be available for the people who need me.
Okay. What's the most common misconception that people have about you, that you found that people have about you?
That I want to be like others. And I don't. Yeah, I just want to put that out there tonight. I'm me.
Okay.
Yeah, the misconception is that I can be if I was to look at myself from the outside looking in, I really can't answer your question because I just think people misunderstand me because I'm helpful. People misunderstand me because I want to see the best for them. People misunderstand my boldness and my pushing and my applying pressure as bossiness, but it's really just me wanting them to have the same thing that I have so that they could be successful and feel better. Like I just want people to feel better. I was so sad forever. So now since I have a hold of all of those good things, I just want everybody to have them. Like even now when I think about who would be my worst enemy, I don't even want them to go through what I went through. Because I'm not supposed to be here up in here.
Right.
You see, I'm not supposed to be here up in here. I'm not even supposed to be on this podcast. And what I mean by that is nobody thought that would happen for me. I'm just going to be swept up under the rug. But here's the Lord saying, I will make your enemy your footstool. So I never thought that I would be here. So the misconception that people will really have pretty much of me is that I think, I'm all that. But I really, I'm really humble. And I just really just walk in the authority of God because I had a low self-esteem.
Right.
And then I'm genuine. as my best friend would say, I'm genuine. I'm authentic, and I can say that. Now I can be petty, but pretty much in my pettiness, I can still be genuine, you
Right.
know. So, and I'm gonna say, yeah, I did it, but I am a genuine person. Everything that I do, it's really for helping and it's not for me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm I was in the back, and then now I'm coming towards the front, and the things need to be said, and it's because of Christ, and I'm gonna give a scripture because I had one. And it says in Ephesians 3:20, and I've just been studying it, and I'm pretty it sure it says, now to him that is able to do immeasurably more than all that we ask or imagine, according to his power that works in us. So the reason why Shunaic has so much power is because of the exceedingly. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I have so much strive and push is because of the immeasurably and the power of the Holy Spirit and of God that lives in me. If people really want to know where I get it all from, how I do it all, it's because of that. The measurement that he has in my life is immeasurable, and it's exceedingly until I die on this earth. So that's what I want to tell others as well, is that you have the same thing. Just apply the Ephesians 3:20. You take it. My pastor, what he says. Everybody thinks that that's the ending. Okay, the end of the week service is over. But that really is a word and a mandate that you apply to your life. And it says for his power that works in us. So that is why Shunaic is so powerful. It's because of his power that works within me, not because of mine.
Right.
I shine because of the Spirit. You see what I'm saying? I shine because of his works. And and we can all do anything that up in here, that those dreams is immeasurable because of Ephesians 3:20. So I will just always take it back to the word, because it's really the reason why I am who I am today. I could have done all these things without Christ, but would it have had any power? No, it would have been about me, but it's about Christ. And that's why when you saw me at your church and I did the chair exercise, it was like boom, because that was Christ. That was a God connection. Yeah.
That is amazing. So I lied to you. I got one more question before the last question.
I'm good.
And this might sound a bit funny to you, and it might be a little bit off kilter. And you don't have to. You don't have to answer.
Okay.
But when it comes to the opposite sex, when you are dealing with the opposite sex, and what I mean by that is like when you're just going about your business, not dating or romantic or whatever, but you are genuinely helping people. Sometimes when you're in a position like you are, feelings can be misconstrued or actions can be misinterpreted as something else. So is that something, do you ever encounter men in particular getting the wrong idea when you reach out to them to assist them, as you feel led?
Well, the beautiful thing is that I really don't assist men as much. I do more women and children. And if I do the men, it's my my clients, my little clients, fathers, pretty much. And pretty much I know how to barrier that. Because working in ministry, you kind of learn the barriers that you cross, when it comes to the opposite sex, when it comes to ministry. So pretty much, the Lord will have me minister to youthful men mostly, teenage boys or younger guys. Now I have experience dating individuals that I knew I was supposed to be ministering to them, and you're like, oh man, here we go again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, that, and then you're like, oh, integrity, get it right. So yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. So other than that, he keeps me right there with the youthful men.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So with that out the way, this is my last official question. This is a question that I ask all my guests. So just take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me, okay?
Okay.
The question is this: what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Success in my life would be that for me, I would say this. Success in my life would be that my two daughters would serve the Lord with their whole heart
Mm,
for the rest of their life, for eternity, and be called to do what God has called them to do. That will be success for me.
awesome. Awesome. So, with that being said, again, I want to thank you for coming on to the platform and being so honest and transparent. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, if somebody wanted to collab with you on any level, maybe something that they heard on this interview sparked interest, or something that maybe they want you to expound on, how could they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me through my email, which is my first and last name, through Gmail, and then Messenger on Facebook, Instagram under my name, Shunaic Jones.
Awesome.
And then, I pretty much, if people want my phone number, they can have business phone number. Pretty much, I'm transparent, so they can get. I'm not blocked anywhere on any. Everything's public.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Again, I want to thank you for coming on to the platform. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody that came on, that was watching today, uh, appreciated you. I want to extend to you an open invitation to come back anytime that anytime you want to promote something, talk about something. I do panels. I would love to have you as a panelist. We do all kind of stuff on this platform, but again, I just want to offer you this open invitation to come back whenever you feel necessary. Um, Thank you again, and I wish you much blessings on everything that you're doing and everything that you're gonna do that you haven't even thought of yet. I wish you
Woo!
blessings on that.
Yes.
And just keep moving forward and doing what you're doing, because clearly you're led to do what you're doing. And if anybody was created to do what they're doing, it's you. It's you.
Thank you.
So continue to walk in it, man, and just reap the blessings of your obedience, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Yeah, this is just the beginning. I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So with that being said, you have a great night, and then
You
even
too.
more. Oh, before we go, is
Mhm.
there anything that you would like to leave with the people before we sign off?
Oh, I would just like to say to all my Mike call y'all my fans. But anyway, so yeah, so to everybody who is in my circle, everybody who has poured into my life, and the people that I don't know that's up here, God bless you. But all I can this is my mantle. It's to never, give up. Never give up. Never give up. Don't stop. Just don't stop. Just keep pushing. That's what I have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. With that being said, again, I wish you a great night and an even more awesome weekend. And we definitely will be in touch. I thank you again for coming on. I definitely learned some stuff, and I'm inspired.
Yay.
So
that's the goal. Goal. Yes, for you to be inspired. Everybody.
So with that being said, I wish you a great night and a great weekend.
And I'm gonna leave you with my motto. I'm gonna leave you with our heavenly home, my daycare's motto. At the end, when you say bye, I'm gonna do it. But go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead and do that.
So as we would say at Heavenly Home, have a great
day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you and you as well. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Good night. There you have it, guys. Another amazing interview with another amazing guest. Shout out to Miss Shunaic Jones. She is an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, a praise dancer. She's just a helper all around, a servant to the highest degree. I implore you guys to check her out, research her movement. If you can help in any way, if you feel led to help or, sow or whatever, invest, whatever the case may be, collaborate, whatever the case may be, please do. Please look her up, email her, bombard her Facebook page, bombard her email, call her business line, say, hey, look, I want to get involved. And as always, man, I encourage you all to walk in whatever God is leading you to walk in. If there's something in your mind, if you've been dreaming about it, if it's something that troubles your sleep or your thoughts, and you feel like it's God led, then step out, do it. Because where God gives vision, he provides provision. Not only that, we have a remnant of people, as we expressed on the interview, we have a remnant of people that are attached to us, and they're waiting on us. They're waiting on that book. They're waiting on that script. They're waiting on that song. They're waiting on you to get that degree or get that job. They're waiting for you to do that thing, whatever it is that inspires them or spurs them or empowers them to do what they're supposed to do, which will in turn help the people that they're, attached to. And it goes on and so forth. And so when you really think about it, this is a very important time. So I encourage you to step out and be bold, whatever it is. Start walking in it now. If you're an architect, God said you're an architect, be an architect right now. You don't have to have the degree yet. Eventually you're gonna have to get the degree yet, but you have to speak those things, call those things out and be it. You know what I'm saying? If you're an artist, be an artist. If you are a teacher, be a teacher. You're a teacher right now. Walk in it, be it, embody it. And with that being said, you guys, I want to thank you all for coming on to the podcast. And I thank those in advance that will look at the replay. I encourage you guys that were on YouTube to hit that like and subscribe button, that little bell icon. We're trying to get the subscribership up. So we're encouraging everybody to, go on there. So please go on to on YouTube. As you can see on the little ticker, just type into the search engine, go in there, click on that bell, watch the interview again. Maybe it was something you missed. I'm definitely going to do that. So with that being said, man, good night, and y'all have an amazing weekend, and let's take a walk.